Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. My name is Julianne. I'm the one-stop operator for South Central Wisconsin. I want to welcome everyone today. If you have questions as we're going through the presentation, please don't hesitate to put those questions in the chat or the Q&A. We have folks that are going to be checking on that for us. I just wanted to say, again, today's webinar, the Ready for Reentry, is going to offer you a lot of information about different kinds of tools that would be available to anybody who is reentering after incarceration. So whether the person is looking for housing resources, they've got legal barriers or challenges that they're looking at, if they're looking for housing or food or some of those other kinds of basic needs, employment issues. The tools that we're going to share with you today are going to offer you examples of some things that you can use. Again, if you have any questions, please go ahead and ask them in the chat or the Q&A. And then what we'll do is we'll answer them at the end of each section. Today we have Reentry Ready resources from UW Extension. So Rhonda and Jonathan will be talking about that. Then the legal tune-up tool, Lift Wisconsin, and Jesse is going to provide the information for that. And then Wisconsin's Reentry Access Portal, also known as RAP, is through the Department of Corrections, and Collie is going to explain all of that to you today. So again, we want to thank you for being here. This webinar is provided with the support from the Wisconsin Department of Public Instruction's Library Workforce Connection, Wisconsin Public Library Systems, and the Workforce Development Board of South Central Wisconsin. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Rhonda and Jonathan, and thanks for coming, everyone.
Thank you again, and good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and get us started here. Oh, of course that would happen. I practiced this, and now there we are. Okay. Sorry about that. Okay, so good afternoon again.
Rhonda, for some reason, your screen is kind of dark. Is everybody else seeing that same thing? You might want to try it one more time.
Yeah, it doesn't look full. It just looks like a little strip down the middle of the screen for me.
It does?
Yeah.
Oh, I am so sorry. Jonathan, are you able to share
yeah,
yours?
I'll see if I can.
I apologize for that. And
No
I did
worries.
practice it, and it didn't, of course,
This
that
is
would
what
happen. But
happens.
while Jonathan is looking for that, I do want to thank you, Julie, again for having us today. And what we're going to do is share with you a resource that we created along with some of our colleagues that helps us to address some of the financial literacy components that we found missing in programming that was offered by our educators. And so let me see. And again, if you have any questions as we go through this, there we go. And you can go ahead to the second slide.
Yeah, I'm trying to get the full screen pulled up. Somehow I'm having a brain cramp about how to do that.
But again, we're oh, go ahead.
I think it's view. If you go to view and then
it's view slideshow. Yeah.
Yep.
I just couldn't remember how to do that. Thanks.
There you
Google
go.
got me. Yeah.
Okay. So sorry about that. But again, we Jonathan and I are here representing UW-Madison Division of Extension's Human Development and Relationships Institute, and we provide programming. Our institute specifically provides programming in about 36 of our 72 counties within the state. And so the resource that we're going to share with you today was created by a team of our institute educators as well as support staff that offer financial literacy programming within correctional facilities. And so I'm going to start by providing just a brief overview of the why of our work, our Reentry Ready focus on finances curriculum, and then Jonathan will share the link and walk you through the Reentry Ready resources website. And then we'll again address any questions as we go throughout. So you can go ahead you can advance the slide. So findings from reentry research conducted nationally show the critical need for prisoner reentry programs. So approximately 636,000 individuals released from state and federal prisons each year, along with an estimated 70 to 100 million individuals in the country with criminal records. And these individuals oftentimes face obstacles to getting jobs, obtaining housing, as well as getting an education as a result of their impact or their touch point with the justice system. So despite the known positive effects of combining financial education with employment, reentry preparation and planning don't typically cover the topic of financial literacy and competency. And among all subpopulations, formerly incarcerated individuals are at a higher risk of having inadequate income to cover their living expenses, as well as a lack of financial assets. So, and you can advance to the next slide. So one of our educators that had been teaching in a facility, and Todd Wenzel, he's not with us today, but he was teaching at or facilitating programming at the Oshkosh Correctional Institution, which is a DLC medium security facility for men, and observed that there were great needs related to personal finances. And he also was trying to fill a gap that was observed by facility staff who had identified a lot of financial literacy based education questions that were common to a lot of participants or that participants had prior to release. So based upon this learning, as well as understanding the needs of formerly incarcerated individuals, the lack of financial education available in correctional facilities, the Reentry Ready team created several resources to aid individuals in successfully transitioning back into their communities and ensuring that these topics or this information was infused into already existing programming. So our goal is and always has been to make both the curriculum and the resources available to extension educators, as well as our jail and community partners and practitioners, which is why it makes sense for us to join you today to share this resource. So on our next slide, we'll go over just provide an overview of the curriculum. So again, with the Reentry Ready curriculum that's offered by educators, our goal is to empower individuals to control their personal finances after release. So have conversations that had been observed have not been had amongst individuals as they're preparing to reintegrate into their communities. And so it's a 6-week or a 3-session program over 6 hours. So 6 hours of programming that's offered over 3 sessions within facilities. There are 8 modules and the topics are listed here. So they cover topics ranging from credit and debt management. So participants have an opportunity to engage in scenarios on making decisions on financial products that best suit their immediate needs, understanding their pay stubs, the importance of saving or creating a budget or spending plan, as well as ways to protect their money. So types of insurance and retirement options. So these are the topics that educators cover over that time frame. And so what we did is found that even in offering this programming, practitioners and social workers, reentry case managers, were requesting additional resources to help guide that reentry process, right? And so our educators and support staff came together, and that's where the Reentry Ready resource site was created. And so what we did was, when that site was created, you can advance to the next slide, we created a graphic organizer. And I'll go through this first because it'll make sense when you see this document as to how it follows along or complements the Reentry Ready resource site. But the graphic organizer was designed so that during that case management or that planning process, individuals during that point of incarceration would have some documentation to keep track of their plans or what it was that they needed to kind of prioritize their efforts as they're preparing to reintegrate. And so if we know anything about, while individuals are incarcerated, unless there are job centers in their facilities or they have some form of access to the internet by way of staff members, folks aren't always on the computer, right? And so this graphic organizer is, like I said, a complement to the Reentry Ready resources so that it makes it more accessible, and they can keep track of those plans, those reentry plans. And so at this time, I'll turn it over to my colleague, Jonathon, to kind of walk us through the actual website.
Thanks, Rhonda. So the website, you'll see a depiction of it on the screen right now. It's called Reentry Ready Resources. And the website link, see if I can put it in the chat here, if I've got it copied, is there. So if you were to just go to finances.extension.wisc.edu, if you just type that directly into your browser, it would take you to our general statewide page on all our programming and that kind of thing. But then you would hover over topics, and under topics, Reentry Ready Resources would be one of the options for you to click on, and that would bring you to that website there. One of the things that's important to note about this website is that we knew when we started it that we wanted to cover topics on a variety of things, not just those that were technically financial. So if you were to go through that website and click through, you would notice that we've got things, of course, on money management and that kind of thing, but we have a lot of information about identification. And lots of times people would say, well, identification is not a financial topic and you all are financial educators. But the reality is it's hard to make any financial progress when you don't have some certain core things under control. So if you don't have your identification figured out, it's going to be very challenging for you to make any progress from a financial perspective, from opening up a bank account to all the other things that you need to do. So we tried to make sure that we had financial things on the website, but also things that were pretty important and adjacent to finances, to ensure that people had all the information that they possibly could need. So on the website, we've got an opportunity for folks to download the actual guide that Rhonda just showed you. That's where it says download the action plan. That's where you're able to download that. And that the intention for that is that obviously those who are reentering can use it, but also those who are supporting those who are reentering can use it to support them, along with a number of other resources. So that's the website. And we also wanted to ensure that you all had some engagement throughout this process. And so we have put together a bit of what I would call a scavenger hunt for you. And I know we don't have tons of time today, but we were hoping that you all might join us in these exercises here so you could get some, practice engaging with the website by answering some of these questions there. So we wanted to give you all a few minutes to work on that, and then just drop it in the chat. Use the chat button to answer some of those questions if you come to figure things out and what the answer to that would be. So all of this information is on the website. So hopefully you've got that pulled up, finances.extension.wisc.edu/reentry ready resources. And you can take a few minutes to kind of click through this so you have some practice on the website. So when you're engaging with people, you actually know how to utilize it and have some familiarity with it. So yeah, I'll give you just a minute to do some of that. And then as you come up with, you can pick any question and then drop the answer in the chat if you would like, when you're ready.
So while folks are doing that, one of the questions that I had is, so the modules that are being used, are they only used at certain institutions right now, or are they used in like earned release programs within the institutions? I'm just kind of curious as to where they're being used currently.
Yeah, sure. I can give that a try, and then Rhonda, you can jump in if you would like. So yeah, so they're being used at specific institutions currently, right? So we have financial educators across the state, but not in every county. We have 72 counties, if memory serves. And our financial educators at any given point in time are going to be in between 14 and 20 of those counties, depending on our staff makeup and so on and so forth. And so those educators are going to try and target facilities near them to be able to go in and do some of this work. And currently we have, I think, probably in the neighborhood of 5 to 6 educators doing work in the counties or in the facilities closest to them currently. So it's not everywhere across the state because we don't have educators everywhere across the state to go through the curriculum, but we're slowly working to build that as best we can.
Excellent,
And
thank you.
And I will add, in addition to that, our hope is to create as we fine tune the curriculum, to create a train the trainer model so that we can train others even outside of our organization. So if there are, like some facilities have programs coordinators, or, case managers or those working within the community with reentry, so that they would be able to then also facilitate the curriculum.
That is awesome. I think that is a good move, and I love the train the trainer idea for sure.
Yeah, we realize that, we've got some great people on our staff, but not enough people to serve everyone who needs to be served. We're going to need to share this work as much as possible with colleagues throughout the state who are not at Extension, but who are partners with us. And so that's
The
what we're looking to
question
do.
on rides to medical appointments. Rides may be available through the Wisconsin Department of Health Services. You can learn more and then there's a website. And I just got word that everyone can use the chats, including attendees. So apologies for that, but now it is open. So feel free to answer any of these questions.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Let's
Yeah,
see.
there was a little technical difficulty on the chat for our
I see.
attendees, and finally somebody told us about it. So we should start getting some. It sounds like there are 14 county guides. Is that correct?
Yeah, they jumped right on top of that
That's
one.
good.
Yep,
All
that is
right.
correct. All right. All right. Any other thoughts?
Um,
Defy Ventures, starting up a new business. Yep, that's definitely one of the things that we hear a lot with folks who are re-entering, thinking about being entrepreneurial. So that's awesome. And then we've got a couple other answers here too, which is great.
And I will say the way in which we've determined how we prioritize which county guides are offered is through our Defy Ventures alum. So individuals that go through our EIT programming within the facilities, we kind of prioritized as a startup those counties in which they're releasing to, so that they would have the resources to continue their planning. But our goal is to, along with some of our students, as a capstone project, we have on-campus students that are helping us to curate those guides. And as we create them, they're added to the site. So you will see that number increase as we move along.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
And thank you all for what you've added. Go ahead, Jonathan.
Yeah, I was just going to say the exercise was to get you all to the website and using it so you became familiar with it. And on top of that, you all have gotten all all of these great answers too, and gotten all of these things correct. So we know we're limited on time. So I want to move us forward to our last portion to see if there are any remaining questions before we turn things over to the next presenter. I know we kind of fit in some of the questions and discussion along the way, but wanted to do a final check.
Well, if you do have any questions for our presenters, please know that you can ask them at any time, and we'll make sure that we answer all of the questions at the end. And I just want to thank you, Ron and Jonathon, for your time today. And if, I mean, honestly, I think it was a great exercise to get people out to the website because it is so easy to use. And the planning tools are extremely helpful. One of the links that's actually listed on the website is the legal tune-up tool. And so that actually happens to be our next presenter. And so Jesse, did you want to take it from there?
I would love to. Thank you so much. So my name is Jessie Luder-Long. I am with Lyft Wisconsin. I am the Access to Justice Coordinator here. Prior to working with Lyft, let me share my screen first. I'm sorry. Okay, all right, we practiced this. I'm gonna do it. I'll do this one. Does that work?
Perfect.
Okay, thank goodness. Okay, so I'm with Lyft Wisconsin. Prior to being with Lyft, I was a civil legal aid attorney at Legal Action. I know we are pretty limited in time, so I'm going to kind of scoot through this stuff pretty quickly here. For those of you who are unfamiliar, Lyft has a variety of different programs that we do. I'm here to talk to you today about the legal tune-up tool, but we also do help host clinics for driver's licenses and for child support. But the legal tune-up tool is a free, innovative online tool that provides free DIY legal assistance to Wisconsinites that have common legal problems. Just a quick intro to Lyft. Generally, we believe that justice should be available to everybody, regardless of whether or not you can afford it. And we are committed to improving the access to justice for all folks and transforming legal systems, increasing personal agency, and democratizing data. I know you guys do not have time to read all of this, but you'll have the slides afterwards. So the legal tune-up tool was designed to increase personal agency for its users and give them power over their own data. We want to help people understand the scope of what they're working with and the barriers of the legal issues that they're dealing with. We want to make this information easy and accessible. We want to provide answers to common questions. We have the forms that they need to submit to the court. We tell people where they need to file it if we can't file it for them. We're even able to populate some of those forms and send them in. And we have links and resources that are helpful throughout. So our ultimate goal for this web-based tool is to put this tool in the hands of frontline workers like librarians, social workers, healthcare professionals, legal navigators, and other attorneys by training them in how it works so that the individuals that they're working with, that their clients have increased agency over their own data and their own futures. So I'll just quickly go through some of the modules that we have before I show you the actual tool. So right now, the legal tune-up tool has a module for driver's licenses, for eviction and criminal record removal, for child support, and for consumer debt. And consumer debt is our newest one. We just launched it this summer. So for driver's licenses, this is my bread and butter. This is what I did at Legal Action for several years. The legal tune-up tool gathers information from the DOT and helps folks figure out what suspensions they have that are active, and then walks them through the process for how to resolve those issues, or get them in touch with people who can help if it's more complicated. In the state of Wisconsin, more than 50% of all driver's license suspensions annually are because of unpaid tickets. So it actually has nothing to do with safety. It has nothing to do with bad driving. It's usually just a matter of poverty. So these FPF suspensions are one of the most common, and thankfully they're fairly easy to resolve, only if though you know the right forms to fill out, if you have that information. So that's one of the things that we're trying to do. A lot of people also have point suspensions. That's always the second most common suspension in Wisconsin. So we kind of walk folks through how to resolve that, how to reopen a case, and explain like the demerit point system and things like that. And there are also specific situations where Lyft can actually help pay that $60 reinstatement fee with the DMV so they can reinstate their driver's license. The legal tune-up tool also works with folks who have eviction and criminal records to help clean those up. So one of the biggest hurdles is knowing, one, whether or not it's removable, and two, finding the right form and where to file it. Wisconsin does have a lot of these forms on like the court websites that you can download and fill out. But even as an attorney, sometimes it takes me a really long time to figure out what form I'm supposed to fill out and how to file it. So having that form there for folks, helping populate that information, and then providing them detailed instructions on what to do from there, how to go to court, how to handle those proceedings if that's necessary. So we run through records, through CCAP and through DOJ, explain what's removable now, what might be removable in the near future, and then populating and filling out that form, GF184A, request to correct court records, filling that out for them. We can also help folks determine if a child support modification is appropriate for them. We have a calculator that folks can use so they can put in their income information, how often they have their children, how often the other parent has their children, income for that other parent, calculating if they're even eligible for a modification, and then also whether that modification is a good idea. So you might be eligible for a child support modification, but if we don't want to just fill out the form and send it to people, or send it to the court for people, just in case it might actually make their financial situation more difficult. So just providing all of that information up front, so people know, kind of just like giving it to them, giving the information to them so that they know what to do, that they know what the impact of these different legal situations might be. So we help them fill out that information too. We'll auto-populate those forms. Child support is a little more complicated than some of the other court forms, so we can't send that out necessarily, but so we provide them, we tell them how many copies they need, where they need to file it, how to do proper service and fill out the fee waiver, things like that. And our newest one is the consumer debt tool. So the consumer debt currently has 3 features. We can fill out and send letters to creditors to end debt collection harassment. We can help folks fill out answers like for small claim suits if they're being sued in small claims court. And we can send to people text reminders for upcoming court dates. And we also have, it's not a module, but we also do have resources for folks. We can connect folks to employment and training resources through our partnership with EATA. So let's move on to the actual legal tune-up tool. I put this in ahead of time. Does that work? Can everybody see the new page?
That's beautiful.
Great. Okay, thank goodness. Okay, so this is the actual legal tune-up tool. This is a fake person, but this is the actual page that you would get if you went to legaltuneup.org. But assuming that you put in your information and you run through your records, this is the page you might get. This fake person has criminal records. They don't have any eviction records that are eligible for removal. We have some information on kind of like what the difference is between these different records, some like tune-up tips so then they can better understand what it is that they're doing or how to move forward with certain things. This person has 3 failure to pay suspensions. They have some other suspensions. And because their driver's license issue seems to be a little more complicated, we have a little note here that you might want to speak to an attorney to kind of figure out the best strategy moving forward. And like I said earlier, we do actually host driver's license clinics so people can come and talk to an attorney to get a better idea of the strategy for moving forward. This is our debt collection tool here. So this one is to send those debt collection harassment letters to stop those. This is how to respond to the small claims cases, and then the text reminder opt-in, and then the child support order and resources. And then here at the bottom, we have the employment and training resource and the Center for Patient Partnerships Health Justice Clinic, excuse me. So since I have a little more time, I'm going to go through just one of the forms for kind of seeing, so you can all see how the forms are populated and how they get sent in. So again, this is a fake person. There's no confidential information here, don't worry. So first for the criminal records, we're going to go through, it shows like what the charge is, the case number, when it was convicted, just kind of verifying so the person knows that this is what's showing up. If you search CCAP, these are the things that might be associated with you. So we kind of give them the opportunity to say, yes, this is me, or no, that's not me. So if we're assuming that all of this is John Doe, that this is all the right person, we can just say yes for everything. It'll let us know what's eligible for removal now, and this one, which will be eligible for removal in 11 months. So we kind of give folks a time period, and they can come back and remove it when, when that 11 months is over. So we can fill out the form, we'll mail it, or they can get it mailed, and then they can start that court process. So, oh, I don't want you guys to actually know my real address. Fake street. And sure, it's in Brookfield, and that's my number. You guys can call me if you want. So these are the forms that will be populated just by putting the information to log in and run your records, and then that little bit of extra information, we can fill out these forms. So this is the correct form that you would file with the court. We pulled the county that the fake court case was in, and then you would just need to sign it either electronically, or you could print it and sign it. So we just populate everything to try to make it as easy as possible. So everything looks great. We can sign our name here. And I don't want to do it. I want them to mail it for me. They'll mail it, and that's it. Like, it's that easy. So a lot of these systems are theoretically designed to be able to be done without the assistance of an attorney. But practically speaking, like, it's complicated, it's confusing, it's hard to navigate, especially if you don't understand the legalese terms. So we just try to make it as easy as possible for folks. We send it out for them. We have copies so they can print it, they can save it to their computer, they can have it for later. And then you can jump back to the rest of the tune-up tool and work on all the other things. So that's generally the tool. I'm going to switch back to the PowerPoint. Okay. So we also are hoping to have assistance, like training people to train other people. So we are working with libraries in Racine and Jefferson. We're presenting actually to the Wisconsin Library Conference in November. We're working on a statewide library partnership, and we're just, even though we are kind of located more in Dane County, Jefferson, Racine, we're trying to expand our work to be statewide. The legal tune-up tool can be used anywhere in the state, but we don't have clinics everywhere, and we don't have established partnerships everywhere. So that is something that we're working on, and we're hoping that with the help of wonderful librarians, we can make that happen. And that's kind of it. So I'm Jessie again. On our team, we also have Alberto and Erica, who are in the audience, and our contact information if you have more questions. But that's it. I hope I went quick enough. I hope I didn't exceed my 15.
No, Jessie, you did a great job. No problem. And we do have a couple of questions for you.
Great.
So the first one has to do with, is there a number that people can call if they are getting stuck with something?
So we do have a phone, and we do have like a general like info email. I'll see if I can find that and put that in the chat, because I don't remember it off the top of my head.
Yeah,
Okay,
I put it in the chat, Jessie.
Oh, great.
Oh,
Thank
beautiful. And then can you go back and print those forms at any time, or is this the only chance after they fill them out?
So that's one of the benefits. Okay, so you don't have to sign in. You can just, like, anyone can just run their record at any time. But one of the benefits of signing in, you just like have your email address and your phone number and some basic information. But then, like, this person here This fake person that I have, this dot. Oh, you still have my PowerPoint. Okay. Well, yes, you can save your information. You can start things without finishing them. You can go back at any time. But you have to like have an account to do that, but it's free to set up an account. I think it's easier if you have an account, just so then you don't have to sit down and finish everything all at once. But that would be the best, I think, way to do that. Pause and come back by having an account.
I have to say, I work out of one of the job centers, and actually I work out of 3 job centers, and we do use this tool with individuals. And once they see how easy it is to start cleaning up some of those records and that sort of thing, people are just amazed. So again, once people fill the information in, it is awesome to see them think like they can just they'll send it for me. Like I don't have to do anything. It's amazing. So again, if you haven't looked at the legal tune-up tool, go out to the website and check things out. And it looks like we might have some more involved questions here. Yep, it just looks like we can also, there's an email information that's also put in the chat. So again, all of that is listed there. Any other questions for Jesse? Okay, thank you, Jesse. If not, again, we'll answer any additional questions at the end. And with that, I'm going to let you go for now. And Collie is going to come on from the Wisconsin Department of Corrections. He's working on a new tool. It's an app that you can use on your phone, and it'll be available for those that are reentering. And so, Collie, do you want to take it over from here?
Yep. And then I guess Jesse can, yeah, thanks.
Okay. I was trying to figure it out. I got it.
All right. So hello all. As Julie said, my name is Collie Hubner. I work in the DOC's reentry unit. I'm going to share a resource application the DOC is working on called Wisconsin Reentry Access Portal, which the DOC believes will benefit community providers offering reentry services, as well as benefiting those in the DOC's care in the institutions and in the community to access reentry resources. I'll also share some other general resources and some general links to look at on the DOC's website, but mainly I'll be talking about this Wisconsin Reentry Access Portal. Okay, so just a little quick history of the application. In 2018, the DOC was awarded the Adult Reentry Employment Strategic Planning Grant. And from there, the DOC worked with partners to complete a systems analysis of reentry services in a 7-county area in South Central Wisconsin. And from this analysis and working with our community stakeholders, there's kind of a few gaps that were identified that we believe this application can kind of help cover. So the first concern was the importance of community agencies having this access to the Compass risk assessment, and also as well as guidance to help agencies target services to make sure that they're understanding the client's risk and need and efficiently utilizing resources. So the Compass risk assessment is an actuarial risk assessment system that contains offender information specifically designed to determine their risk and needs and inform dynamic case plans that guides the offender through his or her life cycle in the criminal justice system, right within the institutions. It kind of guides programming, as well as once they're released into extended supervision into the community. Best practices state that it's important to have a sound assessment that accurately identifies an offender's risk to reoffend. Is important for effective supervision to make sure that appropriate interventions are being utilized. So that was kind of the first thing, is trying to make this Compass risk and needs assessment more efficiently available for community partners, as well as improving communication and sharing of materials between DOC, DCC clients, and community-based providers. There's a lot of times of sharing of materials and resources like referral criteria, documents between these three that sometimes they can kind of get a little bit lost, where the client maybe doesn't share the information, or the community provider doesn't share the information with the agent, and just trying to break down some of that inefficiencies, I suppose, of communication. So this allows providers to share materials directly with clients and agents through the RAP application. And the providers have the ability to edit their own information on the application. And then additionally, it was just kind of ease of clients or ease of access for clients to identify and access reentry services in the community and in the institutions. Okay. From there, after that planning phase ended, the DOC applied for implementation funding to create the RAP application in 2021. So this slide is just a quick at-a-glance overview of the application, just kind of a one-pager, which lets you know the purpose, user groups of the application, and key functionality available to the different user groups. So this application is to ensure that information from providers is available quickly and efficiently for agents, DOC staff, clients in the community, persons in our care in the institutions, as well as providers. This application allows the sharing of the Compass risk and needs assessment of a client with their permission with the provider to assist case planning in the community and utilize best practices for meeting the risk and needs of a client to reduce recidivism. So these main user groups are the clients, the DCC agents, and the providers. So just kind of some key functionality. So it provides a database of community providers that can be searched by users by specific county and reentry service, but the provider has editing rights over the information that appears on the application. In addition, there's an in-app messaging system. So once clients are working with a provider, it can work to keep all users, clients, agents, and providers in touch and share pertinent information for the benefit of the client, whether that's case notes, documents, service dates that they've been working on, or just general communication. I mentioned the Compass bar chart. And then just kind of, like I said, RAP allows providers to kind of have profiles that are kind of, I would compare it to like a social media profile where providers have editing rights over their information. So they can kind of update documents or update information for clients and agents to have quick access to it. And it's not that, submit this document and in a few weeks, maybe it's out of date, right? The providers have that ability to update that information and kind of take ownership over it on the application. Additionally, clients will have their own kind of profile as well, where they'll have some editing rights over what their profile looks like as well. So the portal assists providers share information directly to DOC clients and DOC agents and employees to assist clients navigate reentry and available reentry resources in the community that they're releasing to. So I'm going to show you a little bit about how the application is at the moment, as well as some plans we'll be working to add to the application in the near future. So that's just kind of a general overview of the application, and I'll just kind of do a little demo for you about what it looks like from a client's perspective. Let's get this over here. All right. So first thing I want to show you, and this is just kind of like after a client is logged in. So I'm going to demo it for you as like a client would be logged into the application. So I'm going to show, first of all, I'm going to show this search approved provider screen, where again, they can search by specific county of release, specific DCC, Division of Community Corrections region, as well as a specific category or service that they're going to be offering, right? These still in kind of the piloting and demoing phase of this. So these are to be expanded, but just kind of options currently as we test out the application. So you kind of see that if we search, right, any that would come up, right? And there's employment and training ETAs right there as well. So that's kind of like how that search criteria would work. Currently, the search criteria is only available for once individuals have a approved RAP login. This is something that we are working on currently to make this as kind of like a search feature that is available on the landing page before anyone has to log in, so that, individuals at the institutions, individuals in the community, the public, other community reentry services, right, interested parties can search for reentry resources throughout the state, as well as specific categories of interest, right? And so that also means that, right, these categories might change, additional filters might be added in the future. But once a client or individual does a search, they have this kind of option to view the provider's profile or connect to the provider. So for a client, their information is not available. No one can see any of their information until they connect to a provider. So it's not like a provider can search up a list of clients that have released to Dane County or anything like that through RAP. Their information is only available once they give the necessary permissions to the provider. So kind of like what a provider profile looks like. They'll have various information for the clients to be able to contact them. So there'll also be kind of like a general email account that'll be added here in a few short weeks, but also have some other contact info, like a general phone number to contact their website and things like that. So then this is only available for individuals that are signed in through RAP, but they can contact direct employees that they're working with at ETA or at whatever community provider they're working with, as well as we see what services that they offer, right? So ETA just kind of filled out here, right? Cognitive restructuring skills. So additionally, providers, like I said, they have editing rights over all of this information, or not all of it, but they have editing rights over contact info, employees, services, as well as documents that are shared on RAP. So I don't think ETA uploaded any documents, but there would be documents that could be uploaded here that, you know, for a provider that could share referral criteria, just kind of general overviews or brochures, as well as other, you know, material that they choose to share. But, you know, then that information would be available for clients to search for in the institutions and out in the community and kind of see some of those documents and kind of get connected to these services. Okay, right, trying just to make it an ease of access. So that's kind of what the provider profile looks like. So I'm just going to kind of show you what the client's profile, and this is kind of like what a client's view would look like, but would have this various information. The demographics and current address is only viewable by the client, so the provider wouldn't have access to that information. So I also talked about that Compass bar chart. So this would be available to providers as long as the client connects to that provider. So they could see, you know, the provider could see that information, right, about what, you know, what are their risks and needs, right? What, how can we best serve this individual to reduce recidivism and returning to the institutions? So then we also provided some guidance just for providers. So as they're looking at that, how to utilize that Compass bar chart, right, and how to take out medium or high risk or highly probable or probable risk or need score, and how to utilize that in case planning. Okay. Let's see. So, and just right here, these are all the providers that this individual has connected to. So the clients have kind of the rights over their use of RAP, so they can disconnect with the provider at any time. That provider can no longer see that client's information. They can deactivate or activate the Compass view so that a client can view that information. They have that. They have those rights over that to, you know, sever that connection or make a new connection at any time, as well as limit any information. And then they also can send messages to those staff, which, yeah, just looks like send message to a specific one. So, right. And then additionally, a client can upload documents themselves. So whether that's, you know, kind of a personal statement, whether that's certificates or classes that were programming completed, various documents or just documents that may be important for the necessary provider that they're connected to, they can upload those there, and then they can make that visible or non-visible to the providers and to the agents. So there's also messaging that's available in here. So no, give it a moment. But if it was, it's probably, but like I said, there's some bugs, so we're working on it. But there's some inbound and outbound messages. There you go. Which just would kind of appear here, but it would also notify their email when any of those messages are received from someone else. Same thing when they send a message right to a provider, that provider's email would be notified. So then there's some enhancements we'll be adding here for the messaging system, just to kind of add read, unread, filtering, some additional filtering that we'll add there. And then the last one I cannot show you right now is service dates, so I'll have to go back to the slideshow to kind of show you what that looks like. But that allows Just get it right up. That allows, and this is kind of what the service date screen looks like, but for a provider, they can log those service dates that they've worked with the client to just kind of to log it for the client to show that the work that they're doing, as well as logging any case notes that are relevant for the agent or the for the client, whether that's confidential and that information should be only shared with the agent. They can choose to do that, or if that's information that's has no reason to be confidential, and right, the providers wants to share it with the agent and the client, they can do that as well. So, and there it would just, service provided, financial management, and then if there's any case notes that I wanted to be added to that. So just kind of to help that communication between the agent, the client, and the provider. Okay, so that's kind of a quick run through of it, and then the provider's experience is different, the agent's experience is a little different, but just try to show a quick little run through of the demo in our time to make sure there's time for questions and some other available resources. So apologies if that went a little quick. I can provide some client user guides after this as well. So just kind of some next steps. So I mentioned about some bugs or some features being added. So the DOC's IT team is working on updating the application and hopes to complete necessary updates by October 2024. So we're planning on piloting the application in the community in DCC regions 1 and 2, which is South Central Wisconsin and then Southeast Wisconsin, and in select institution job labs in Racine to kind of get some better understanding of the application and make sure it's fully ready for a statewide rollout. So I would say look to more into 2025 when this resource would be broadly available for individuals, walking into the library and looking for reentry resources. But we hope, or we see this as kind of this application having a lot of potential to assist clients find resources and then kind of stay connected with them through the Reentry Access portal. Okay. So I guess I can share about some other resources the DOC has, but if there's any questions about the RAP application, I figured I'd take those first before moving on to some other DOC resources, if any.
I had a question. So, at what point in the reentry process would folks in your care be enrolled in RAP, and does that begin before they re-enter or shortly after?
Yeah, so the plan is for to be kind of part of the reentry planning, which takes up to a year prior to the return to the community, but really starts to kind of that reentry planning really ramps up specifically with connecting to resources within the last few months. So specifically at the institution job labs that we have, where institutions that have those job labs, we plan to imbue or utilize this application there for them to start accessing and finding those resources for where they're releasing to. So generally it's kind of that reentry planning takes less than a year prior to the release.
We did have a
Go ahead, Mark.
go right ahead, Julie.
I was going to say, as somebody who actually goes in and works from time to time in those job labs or those job centers, so to speak, at the at the institutions, I think having this available will be really helpful because most people will get a cell phone as soon as they're released. We have staff that usually help them to, kind of walk them through what it's going to be like to use that. And what I like is that all of their providers are in one location. So they don't have to fumble around for phone numbers and that sort of thing. So I think as it rolls out and it becomes more widely used, I think it's going to be a really helpful tool for librarians just to remind people about RAP. I like the name RAP because I think about wraparound services, right? And so I think it kind of helps people to know that these are available to them. There is a question for you, Colleen. The question is, are you going to make the language and vocabulary used a little more accessible to the general populace?
Like, can you explain like the client, provider, participant, or that stuff, or?
I'm assuming probably for the participants that will be using it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm not exactly clear on what the language, but for sure as we roll it out and pilot it, there'll be especially once we get into institution job labs, we'll see areas of concern that can be edited. There's not many things that within the application that, right, we don't have editing rights over that we can kind of change up to make, I guess simpler or more easier to make it kind of accessible to all.
Yep, and I would say too that the providers themselves can actually upload a bunch of information as far as their resources. They can upload flyers, they can add, like you said, brochures and that sort of thing. And I think that really makes it much more user friendly for individuals to be able to scroll through that and look at that on their phone.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, and that, yeah, I did forget to mention that it will be available on individuals' phones, which that's kind of what we find a lot with clients in the community, is that often that's their access right to the internet. They're not, right, they're utilizing their cell phones, which I'm sure you all are aware of as well with populations.
Right. And then I think the question was for those that have maybe a cognitive impairment, making it just a little more user friendly as far as verbiage and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yep. And especially when they're meeting with agents, that'll kind of be part of the to help, but also just kind of general verbiage. Will kind of make that a little simpler, especially like reentry services categories, where right now it's just some of it's just a little bit of filler, right? As we're testing out and making sure that all the background is working as intended.
Okay. Any other questions for Collie? Otherwise, I'm going to pop, yep, simple language as a tool for this. Yep, everybody was thinking like making it very simple for folks. Seems to be the consensus here. Cool.
Yep.
Any other questions for Collie? Otherwise, I do have one from Christina that's going out to Jesse, and it was if we are looking for staff training, who do we reach out to? And it looks like we have Alberto's information. His email address is listed. It's albertop@liftwisconsin.org, and that is also in the chat. So does anybody have any other questions for our panelists here? Give it kind of a minute or two. Yeah, I think all of the tools today are extremely useful as far as just being aware of them, but also for utilizing those and helping people to guide them to the websites to be able to utilize those, I think is really helpful. One thing that I would mention too is, if you're using UW Extension's toolkit, it also does a redirect to some of the other providers that we're talking about today. So again, a lot of these things are all interconnected, and I find it to be really helpful as I'm working with people here at the job center or whether I'm working with folks in an institution to help them be aware of all the tools that are available to them. Okay, one last stab. Are there any other questions today? If not, I think we'll go ahead and wrap it up. We want to thank you so much. You'll be receiving different materials from all of the different panelists today. Again, I appreciate your time and thanks, and stay tuned. And if you have any other ideas for other speakers for future webinars, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. So thanks again, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.